नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चातदे सतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा रास बिहारी राधे, जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान, सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान। जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
So today we are going to talk about the topic on karma. So in the previous class, we were talking about our real identity is we are the soul. And we also spoke on reincarnation. So until we get liberated, what happens is we keep changing the bodies. And how do we change the bodies? How do we know which body we are going to get next? What is the factor that decides our next body?
Based on
Maybe
what
it
we
depends on
think
karma.
towards the
Yeah, it depends on two factors. It depends on our karma. Whatever the karma we have accumulated, based on that, we get the body in the next life. Sometimes we are born as a human being. Sometimes we are born as an animal. Sometimes you are born as a reptiles. Sometimes as an aquatics. So we are born in different species of life. One thing is based on our karma. Another thing is because of our desires, whatever desire we have. So these are the two factors which are giving us body after body, which is keeping us entangled in the material world. We continue to remain in the material world as long as we are subjected to karma and we have desires. So we cannot come out of the desires So desire is the very nature of the soul. But how we can desire is we have to desire, our desire should be towards serving the Lord, not serving our own senses. So we can desire to eat something nice. That's right. We don't have to abstain from eating what we like. Suppose we have a desire to eat a gulab jamun, we can eat. But what you can do is make a nice gulab jamun, offer it to the Lord, and eat it as a prasadam. So when we are doing things that are docile to Krishna, what happens is we are not subjected to the karma, and also our desires gets purified. Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. When you are serving Rishikesha, the master of the senses, two things happen to us. One thing is Sarvabhadi Vinir Muktam. We are coming out of all kind of designations. Whether we think I am a woman, I am an Indian, I am a doctor, I'm an engineer, or I'm a teacher, I'm a mother. So we all are giving so many designations for ourselves. But what is our actual designation? Our actual designation is?
Servants of, yes, servant
Yeah,
of
we
the
are the servants of the Krishna. We are the eternal part and parcel of Krishna and his servants. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. We are all eternally his servant and also his part and parcel. Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna says that we are all his part and parcel. Sanatana means eternally we are his part and parcel. So by serving the senses of Krishna, we are coming out of all our designation and Tat Paratvena Nirmalam, and we get purified. Our senses get purified. So suppose we are having some, let us say that we are having some oil in a container, and let that oil represents our karma, or whatever our desires, or whatever the anarthas or anything that we have. And we are keep on adding water into this container which has oil. What happens? The more we are adding water to this container, what will happen to the oil? Oil will flow out. And then when you see the water, how will the water looks like? The water will look pure. So we may have anarthas, we may have desires that are not good, or we may have unwanted things like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, like anger, envy, jealousy, and desires, lusty desires, and all the things. But by adding the water, and what is the water that we are adding? What is the water we are adding is through Krishna Katha. Shrinvatahi Swata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. When you're hearing to Krishna Katha, it is punya. It brings lot of piety to us, that it cleanses our heart. Hearing Krishna Katha is the only way that can cleanse our heart. So the very fact that we are all having a material body is a symptom that we are all sinful. We have all done some karma, because of which we are having a body in this material world. So all of us here, or the very fact that we are having a material body, is because we have committed some sinful reactions. So in today's class, we will learn what is about karma and how can we come out of it. Okay. I hope you're all taking the notes, so that will be very useful if you can have some notes. So, is the screen visible?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So, the reincarnation is the law of the nature. We have seen in the previous section that the eternal soul leaves the perishable body at the time of death and it occupies a new body. The reincarnation means transmigration. एक शरीर को छोड़ के हम दूसरा शरीर जाएंगे. And how did the Krishna say that in Bhagavad Gita? Dehinosmin yata dehe Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara. Just like the soul passes from childhood to youthhood to adulthood to the old age, similarly, the soul passes into another body after the death. So the death is only to the gross body, but the soul never dies. The soul is always eternal. In the previous classes, we also saw some of the characteristics of the soul, right? Soul is eternal, soul is imperishable, soul cannot be withered, soul cannot be burnt. So soul has several characters of which shows that the soul is eternal. So when we are burning the gross body, only the body gets burned, but the soul remains, and along with the subtle body, the soul is carried to another body. So the logic to establish that this phenomenon takes place also discussed by practical evidence laid through the past life memories of various people. हमने ये भी देखा था, बहुत लोग को past life memory जो होता है, they can remember something that has happened in the past. It's not only in the devotional thing, but also many people across the countries, they have the symptom of the past life memories. And finally, the Shabda Praman is imperative to believe in reincarnation. हमने शास्त्र में यही देखा था, श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण से we came to know how Narad Muni could remember his past time. He was a Gandharva, and then he was cursed and he became the maid servant, and then he became a Narad Muni. And Bharat Maharaj was an emperor, and then in the next life he became a deer, and then in the following life he became a Jada Bharat, and then he got liberated. So there are so many Shastric evidences also about the people with their past lives. So reincarnation, therefore, is just not a Hindu idea as many people believe. It is not anything like Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, or Jew, or Buddhism. Soul is a soul, and Bhagwan jo hai, Bhagwan hai. So there's nothing like only Hindus get transmigrated and Christians goes to hell or heaven, or they go like that. It is the same for everybody. Nature does not distinguish between caste, creed, religious faith, and so on. If there is a natural disaster, is the nature saying that I will only kill the Hindus or I'll only kill the Christians? No, the nature is same to everybody. So every living being is a creation, has to undergo repeated birth and death. So ये जो death cycle है, सबके लिए एक ही है. Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and others will also have to die and be reborn. Indians, Russian, Japanese, कोई भी nationality का हो. We all try to go to other countries abroad, like we feel life in US is very nice. But even if you're born in US, if you're raised in US, you still have to die. So will all the animals, birds, and insects. No one can escape. Just as a law of gravity acts on all the people, we are all subjected to law of gravity. Even a small stone is subjected to law of gravity. So regardless of their caste, creed, and so on, the law of transmigration acts on all. It does not matter whether one knows about the law or not, or whether one believes in it or not. The law will act relentlessly, continuously, unavoidably, life after life. Just a normal example, a child does not know that the fire will burn the hand, but even unknowingly the child touches the fire. The dharma of the fire is to burn. So just because a child is innocent, that doesn't mean that the child's hand will not be burned. So similarly, some people may say that I don't want to read all the Bhagavad Gita, I don't want to read all these things, क्योंकि ये सब पढ़ने से ना हमको डर लगता है, हमको जैसा जीवन हम अभी जी रहे हैं ना खुशी से, वो सब नहीं होगा. But to be honest, without even reading the Shastras or anything, how many of us are happy throughout the life? See, this is a sloka which says that Dehinosmin yata dehi. See, the same soul is passing from the childhood to the adulthood to the until the death and being carried to the another body. So the wheel of samskara. Samskara refers to the world of birth and death. It is like a wheel because the soul has to repeatedly accept new bodies, giving up the old ones. So till now, we all have taken almost millions of births in millions of species and in millions of planets. So सारे बहुत सारे ब्रह्मांड में हम रह चुके हैं. We had been as probably a cat or a dog or a reptile or a fish or a snake. So we all had been in 84 lakh species of life. That too not just one time, billions and millions of time we had been there. So from time immemorial, the eternal soul has thus been wandering within the material world, taking on temporary material bodies one after another. क्योंकि ये जो भौतिक दुनिया जो है, the body that we get here is temporary. Each time forgetting the previous one and thinking the present one to be all in all. हम लोग भूल चुके हैं जो योनि हम previous life में था. Whatever the present situation we are, we think that this is all in all. So there is one of the quotation given by one of the Maharaj in ISKCON, Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He said that our life is a sheets and sheets and sheets of paper, and the present life that we have is just a tip of the pencil. So in the sheets and the sheets and the sheets of paper, what we are undergoing is only the tip of the pencil. So anything that we are undergoing in the current life, whether we are happy or whether we are distressed, we shouldn't take it too seriously. And we should always look at an eternal perspective. Even if we are suffering, we have to think that maybe I have done something wrong in my previous life. So Krishna is giving me that suffering so that once my suffering is done, I will be reunited with Krishna. So we should think that this is only a temporary situation. Nobody is going to be happy for all the time, or nobody is going to be suffering for all the time. The Padma Puran says that there are 8.4 million species of life in the material world. So this is a sloka from Padma Puran which talks about the 8.4 million species of life. Jalajanava lakshani stavara laksha vimsati. Kramayo Rudra Shankarsha Pakshinam Dasa Lakshanam Trimshal Lakshani Pashwan Chatur Lakshani Manusha. So there are, the Shastra says that there are 9 lakh species of aquatics. There are 2 million species of trees and plants. There are 1.1 million species of insects and reptiles. And there are 1 million species of birds. And there are 3 million species of animals. And there are 4 lakh species of the human beings. So totally we have 8.4 millions of species. So it is very accurately described in Shastras. There is no ambiguity. It's very clearly written that how many species are there in this material world. So even among the human beings, there are 4 lakh species of life. So this is based on the consciousness of the living entity of the humans. Not all the human beings are in an elevated consciousness. So there are civilized human beings and uncivilized human beings. So among the civilized human beings also, we are all very fortunate to be born in India, because Bharata Bhumi is a place of saints and sages. And this is a place where Rama was there. This is a place where Krishna performed his pastime. So this is a very pious place. So Bharata Bhumi le janma hoi. So being born in India itself means that we have done a lot of piety to be born here. So after getting this, what do we do? So we have never seen any species of life giving birth to another higher species than themselves, right? For example, we do not see the amphibians reproducing reptiles or monkeys reproducing humans. Moreover, if one physical species actually did evolve into the higher species, that lower species should have disappeared. How is that all the species of the life coexist today? Like Darwin theory says that the life came from the atom. So from the atom, like amoeba was from, and slowly, the species got evolved one after another, and we have come up to the human species of life. That is fine. If we have come up to the human species of life, if we have evolved, then the other species of life would have gone away, because they wouldn't have survived. If some of them have already evolved, then why should the other things should be there? For example, many fossils shows the presence of modern man throughout the vast open span of time, even at periods when the evolution theory says not modern man, but his ape-like ancestors should have lived. Therefore, Darwin's theory of evolution is unacceptable. Instead, we accept evolution in the sense of the soul's movement into the different body, one after another. Yes, evolution is real. We go from one body to another. Until we have the body of the animal, we are not subjected to law of karma. We just have to undergo whatever we are supposed to undergo in that species of life. And we have to just live our lifespan until we reach the human species of life. We are not subjected to the laws of karma either. So the soul moves higher automatically in the hierarchy of 8.4 million species, one by one, and then come to the human form of life. So we can understand how rare it is for us to get the human form of life. So the human species is the junction for the soul. So from this, we can go wherever we want to go. According to the karma performed in the human body, the next birth may be either in the lower species, in the higher species, or in the human species. जैसे भगवद गीता में बताया गया 14 chapter में ऊर्ध्वम गच्छन्ति सत्वत्वा. So those human beings who are in the sattva gun, they go to the higher planets and they become like devatas, demigods, and they live in higher planets like Brahmalok, Makarlok, Swargalok, like that. Madhye tishtanti rajasa, and people who are in the modes of passion, they'll continue to live in this earthly planets where people are very passionate, or they come back again as a human species. And Adho gachanti tamasa. So if you're having the tamasic gun, if you're so much ignorant, then what happens is we may go to the lower species of life. We may be born in the lower planets, or we may be born in the animal kingdom again. So if the human being has attained spiritual perfection, the soul can be released from the cycle of birth and death and return to the spiritual world, the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. But in this human form of life, agar hum spiritually perfect hote, we understand our real position of our relation with the God and act accordingly, then we can be permanently released from the cycle of birth and death. Krishna says, Yad gatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Once you come to my planet, you will not go down again. So once we are going back to the Krishna's planet in Vaikuntha planets or Goloka Vrindavan, then we will not come back again to the earthly planets or any other planets for that matter. We will not come to the material world at all. So life exists all over the universe. They say scientists bolte hai. They say that the life exists only in the earth. So we all have the body that is suitable to live in the earth. So that doesn't mean that in other bodies, there may be other living entities who have the body which is suitable for them to live in that particular planet. For example, we don't have a body that is suitable for us to live in the water. If we compare ourselves, that okay, if we are coming to know that there are some species which are living in the water and we have never seen that, will you believe it? You will say that how is that possible? I have never seen that any species living in the water. How can one live in the water? If I am 2 minutes drowned in the water, I die. So we will not believe. So similarly, we saw in the previous classes also, like Pratyaksha Praman, Anumana Praman, Shabda Praman. So we just cannot come with the fact that seeing is believing. So the soul has been described as Sarvagata. The soul is present everywhere. In chapter 2, text 24, Krishna said, Achedyo yam adakyo yam akledyo shosha evacha nitya sarvagatastanur achalo yam sanatana. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can neither be burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. So Srila Prabhupada in his commentary on this verse explains the word Sarvagata, all-pervading, is significant because there is no doubt that the living entities are all over the God's creation. They live on land, in the water, in the air, within the earth, and even within the fire. The belief that they are sterilized in fire is not acceptable because it is clearly stated here that the soul cannot be burned by fire. Therefore, there is no doubt that there are living entities also in the sun planet with suitable bodies to live there. If the sun globe is inhabited, then the word Sarvagata, living everywhere, becomes meaningless. अगर हम सोचते हैं सूर्य भगवान में, सूर्य के planet में कोई भी नहीं रहते हैं, then this word becomes meaningless. So there are living entities who are living in the sun planet who has a body that is suitable to live under that condition. So modern research has confirmed that there are some types of germs living in boiling water and even in fire. Scientists लोग भी बोलते हैं everywhere there are living entities. So जैसे हम पानी boil करते हैं, इसमें भी बहुत सारे germs जो है जो मर जाते हैं. So it is not difficult to accept that life could exist on different planets of the universe in appropriate life forms. So even on our tiny planet Earth, we see that the fish has one kind of body to be able to live in the water. The birds have body appropriate for the air and humans have body appropriate for the land. So similarly, in other planets, there are bodies made of differently according to the atmosphere there, and all these are obtained according to one's karma. जैसे हमारे जो earthly planets में we have earthly body, so the maximum thing we are made up of the earth. So in some other planet there can be a body which has more subtle, made up of more subtle elements that we cannot see. So the garment shop of material nature. So it's like a shop. अगर आपको कहाँ जाना है, you can go as per your karma and the desires. So we have already seen that the material body is like a dress of the soul. Since there are 8.4 million species in the world, there are many varieties of dress available for the soul to wear in the garment shop of material nature. So the living entity chooses a particular dress according to his desire as expressed through his activity. दो चीज है, एक one thing is our desire and second thing is our karma. So if we desired something and if our karma is permitting that, then our desire gets fulfilled and the material nature then awards that body to the soul. The karma performed is the price which the soul can purchase the new body. So whatever karma we do, अगर हम बहुत सारे पुण्य कर्म करते हैं, so we have a lot of weightage in us with which we can buy a better body. Maybe we can buy a body of a demigods like that. For every kind of desire, there is an appropriate dress or body available in the large shop of material nature. Such is an elaborate arrangement of the soul. Like how you go to the garment shop and choose your dress. So similarly, we also choose our dress. So मांस खाना है, किसी को मांस खाने का बहुत सारा मन लगता है, तो what Krishna gives them a facility to become a tiger, because when a living entity becomes a tiger, he can eat the flesh of the animal day in and day out. So his desire is fulfilled by him getting the body of the tiger. So that is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter. Shariram metavapnoti yacha vyutkramadishvara grihitvaitani sarvani vayur gandhani vashayat. Like how the flower, the air carries the aroma. Similarly, the soul carries, according to the vasana, the soul is carrying, it will go to another body, just like the air carries the aroma. So we carry the vasanas of our current body to the another body, and accordingly we get a particular type of ears, particular types of mouth, particular types of ear, so that those senses jo hai, they are grouped nicely so that we can enjoy that senses. However, out of ignorance, he does not understand what kind of desires and activities will actually bring about his welfare. अज्ञानता के कारण हमको ये समझ में नहीं आता है कि how our desires can bring us the welfare. So he acts in the most unbecoming ways against his real interest and suffers. So being captivated and allured by the attraction of the false pleasures of the world, he becomes a bundle of illicit desires. So material nature then forcibly awards him that material body which exactly corresponds to his desires and activity. So each kind of body in nature is designed to efficiently cater to fulfill certain kinds of desire. For example, a bear's body is perfectly suited for excessive sleep. किसी को ज़्यादा सोने का इच्छा रहता है. They feel that I just want to sleep a lot. I enjoy sleeping. मुझे कुछ काम करना ही नहीं है. So if they have that desire, then the nature awards them with the bear's body. क्योंकि जब polar bear का शरीर मिलता है तो 6 महीने they can just hibernate and they can sleep. Tiger's body is just right for eating meat. किसी को मांस खाने की ज्यादा इच्छा होता है तो उनको टाइगर का शरीर मिलता है. एंड किसी के सेक्सुअल इंटेलिजेंस में ज्यादा मन लगता है, they will get a body of a monkey because monkey get so many such engagement very easily. So the human body, however, is meant for God realization. For why did we get a human body? So that we can realize the God. It's like you have been given a Mercedes Benz. So how will you use this car? Will you drive in a very nice road or you will use it to plow the field? Where will you use your car if you have a Mercedes Benz?
On a nice road.
Okay, what happens if you are using it to plow the field? If you are using it like a tractor, what will happen to the car?
It will get spoiled.
It will get spoiled. So is it a right usage of that car?
No.
So you're spending like 1 crore of money to buy a Mercedes Benz and you're misusing it for plowing the field. So similarly, we paid a price to get a human form of body. ऐसा नहीं मिला था. हम लोग 80 lakh species cross करके हमको ये जो मनुष्य का योनि मिला है, and we paid a price for it. And after getting this price, if we are not using it for self-realization or for God realization, then what will happen to us? We will again go back to the lower species of the life. And again, we have to go through the evolution. So having obtained the human form of life, if one neglects the sublime path of God realization and instead lives a degraded life, dedicated merely to animalistic pursuit. We saw in the first class itself, ahara nidra bhayamaitunacha, samanya metam pashubi naranam, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. It is the same for humans and animals. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. It is a dharma that differentiates us from being the animals. Dharmena hina pashubi naranam. So without dharma, we are the animals. We are dvipada pakshu. We are two-legged animals. So, want to eat meat? Agar मांस खाने की इच्छा हो तो take a tiger's body, says the material nature. Love sleeping excessively? Take a bear's body. Like exposing your body, become a tree. So, according to our desires, we get different body. So, in this way, the material nature gives us body just appropriate for our desires and activity. So we have seen earlier that there are two kinds of material body. Last class में हमने देखा था. One is our gross body, which is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then we have the subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So this gross body, this is cremated or burnt or annihilated by when this current body dies. But the subtle body, it is like an inner dress. So it's like you're wearing a suit and you're wearing a shirt inside that. So the coat that you're wearing is like an outer dress and the shirt that you're wearing is like the inner dress. So at the time of death, the soul gives up the gross body, the outer dress, but the subtle body or the inner dress remains. So until we are taking up into the bhakti, until we obtain the perfection in self-realization, we will still have our subtle body, which will remain with us as our inner dress. So it is a fact that the subtle body that acts as a vehicle to carry the soul from the old body to the new body. So this is a vehicle जो हमको पुराना शरीर से नए शरीर tak leke jayega. So the subtle body which harbors the desire of the living entity carries the conception of the next body, and it develops another gross body in the next life. So Lord Krishna compares this transfer of the air carries aroma from one place to another. That's what we said. Shariram yadavapnoti yachyabhyutkramadishvara grihit vaitani samyati vayur gandhani vashayat. Like how the air carries the aroma, similarly the vasanas that we carry takes us from one body to another. That is why we see it is just not sometimes it's our brought up, but more or less every living entity has their own nature. Koi twins rehte hai. If you're seeing their astrological chart, there will be hardly any difference in their astrological chart. But in spite of that, you see that they have different nature. They have different desires. They have different life altogether. Maybe until certain years they are with the same father, but they may entirely go to completely different types of person, and one may be very, very happy in the life and other might not be so happy. So the life can change completely because we are carrying this vasana, our nature and our karma from the previous birth. So the law of karma, according to the law of karma, for every action that an individual performs, there is an opposite reaction, like Newton's law of action. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So similarly, whatever action we are doing, they will have a reaction. So in short, karma is that which gives us another body. That material activities that we perform, that leads us to give another body. So that's the easiest way to define karma. So the material activities that leads us to another body. So there is similar law in modern science. Like, as I said, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the law of karma is the law of cause and effect of action and reaction. This means that for everything that we do, there will be an action and reaction. And whether known or unknown, that doesn't matter. But you're still subjected to. Doesn't matter. Suppose you're entering a border of some other country unknowingly. You didn't know that a border belongs to some other country. You entered and you have been caught in that country by that police. So when you say that you have entered unknowingly, do you think the police will spare you?
No.
Will he spare you?
No.
No, he will say, no, you are an illegal immigrant. So we have to go through the process, right? So it doesn't matter hum agar knowingly karte ya unknowingly karte. Like an example of the child touching the fire. So thus one can understand that we are presently suffering or enjoying the fruits of our past activities, and that our present activities will determine our future suffering or enjoyment. Jo karma hum pehle kiya tha, uske वजह से we are either suffering or enjoying. But whatever activities we do now, that will become our future. So there was a question asked by somebody to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So is the destination is already fixed? If the destination is already fixed, then what do we have to do? Agar whatever going to happen is going to happen according to our karma. So what does our choice makes? What difference it makes? So he gave a very good example. Suppose you are taking a flight to Paris. So a group of passengers are taking a flight to Paris. So the destination of these particular passengers is already destined, because once you are getting into the flight that is going to Paris, you cannot go to New York by taking a flight to Paris. But while you're in the flight, you are given a free choice, an independent will. So you may choose to sleep, or you may choose to watch a movie, or you may choose to chant, or you may choose to read some scriptures, or you may choose to chit-chat with someone, or you may choose whatever you want. So while your destination is fixed, the activities that you make, the choices that you make, that becomes your future life. So it works perfectly under the control of the God acting through the material nature and the time. So abhi jo Krishna is talking about 3 kinds of activities in Bhagavad Gita. So पहले तक मुझे भी जब तक मैंने भगवत गीता पढ़ा था, मुझे लगता है कि कर्मा तो just one word karma. I didn't know that there were 3 types of karma until we read Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains that there are 3 kinds of activities one can perform. Karmano haipi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmana cha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gati. The intricacies of the action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So this is represented in the chart below. It's very, very difficult to understand how the karma acts. So at least for that, we need to understand, because we do not know. Many times people say, I have not done anything wrong to anybody in this lifetime, but मेरे साथ सब कुछ जो हो रहा है वो अच्छा नहीं हो रहा है. People are not nice with me. मैं कितना भी काम करती हूँ, I am not getting the results. So whatever I am doing nice to the people, then also things that are coming to be are not nice. So it becomes very much difficult. We just cannot understand why things are happening to me like that. So that's what Krishna is saying. It's very hard to understand. So there are 3 kinds of activities. So first activity is karma. If you have a notebook and a pen, please write down this. So the first thing is karma. Generally, karma means a pious activities or punya karma. And then we have next category of karma, which is called vikarma, which is sinful activity or papa karma. विकर्म जो है वो पाप कर्म है. And then जो अकर्म है, that is bhakti karma or spiritual activities. Okay, so these are the 3 kinds of activities. So now first let us go through the punya karma or karma. Jo normally we say karma, we say acha karma karo. When you say acha karma karo means what do you feel? You say that you do punya karma. So the word karma generally means any action. However, there is also another specific meaning, namely pious activity or punya karma. So punya karma refers to those activities which are prescribed and sanctioned by the Lord through the scriptures. जैसे scriptures में भी बहुत सारा पुण्य कर्म हमको दिखाया है. You do this yajna, you will get this. You do that, you will get this. So performance of such activities gives one material benefits in return. So even though you're doing only as per the scriptures, but you are choosing that part of the scriptures which is giving you the material benefits. So in other words, these are the pious credits, the results which the performer will enjoy in this life or the next. ये पुण्य कर्म करने से कभी कभी हमको इसी लाइफ में रिजल्ट मिलेगा या नेक्स्ट लाइफ में भी मिल सकता है. एग्जाम्पल ऑफ पायस एक्टिविटीज जो है गिविंग चैरिटी, जैसे giving charity to the poor, helping the blind, distributing free medicines, and opening the institutes, opening hospitals, planting the trees, feeding the hungry. So all these things comes under the pious activity. So by performing such pious activity, one may attain in the future life wealth, beauty, good birth, health, material happiness, and even in the heavenly planets. जो लोग बहुत पुण्य करते हैं, उनको next life में they may get a very high birth. उनको they may be born like Ambani's, or they may be born like Narayana Murthy or like Elon Musk, like that. They may be born in a very, very rich family with very beautiful and good birth, health. उनको सब कुछ अच्छा लगेगा. Or sometimes they may be even promoted to the heavenly planet. But there is a problem going to the heavenly planet also. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, Shine Punye Mrityuloke Vishanti. So even if you go to the heavenly planets, if our piety gets exhausted, then what happens is we have to come back to the Mrityulok. For example, suppose we are having a credit card which has a limit of 5 lakhs. So until you spend that 5 lakhs, you can keep spending. But the moment you have exhausted that 5 lakhs, so even to spend one money, ₹1 also you're not allowed. Your card gets declined. So this punya karya hai, it has an expiry date. So to that limit, you can enjoy the benefit. Jaise visa. We get a visa to go to US, let's say a traveler's visa. We get 6 months of stay. So after the 6 months, we have to come back. We are not allowed to stay even one day beyond the 6 months. So that is how even punya karma karne se, until we exhaust that karma, we can enjoy the benefit. Jab wo karma exhaust ho jayega, then we again have to undergo the same sufferings, whatever we have to undergo. So, and we have to be born again in the earthly planets. Mainly, we will not be coming out of the cycle of the birth, death, old age, and disease. So, sinful activity. So, second type of activity jo hai vikarma, or the sinful activity ya papa karma. So, vikarma or sin refers to prohibited actions. So, those actions which violate the scriptural injunctions, which go against the principles and rules given by the Lord for civilized human society. Sin is usually performed out of ignorance and leads to suffering in this life and the next. बहुत सारे लोग पाप ना जानबूझ के नहीं करते हैं, उनको ये भी नहीं मालूम होता है कि जो मैं कर रहा हूँ वो पाप है. Example of sin or stealing, killing, indulging in vices like drinking, alcohol, eating meat, and so on. Especially the last two factors, आजकल drinking, everybody thinks that it is very normal. It is very sociable if you're drinking and eating meat. There are so many KFCs and McDonald's and everywhere. So previously, even within the in India, the families, even if they eat meat, they don't eat every day. They eat only once in a while. So like Shastras are also permitting us to eat meat only one day in a month, that too on a Amavasya day. And even for us to eat on one particular day, we have to perform lot of rituals. And to eat one portion of the meat, and you have to give almost 1/9 of the portion as a charity, and you have to do so much of activities, pious activities, yajna and everything, then you are allowed to eat a portion of the meat. Because some people have an inclination. So Krishna is allowing us to do that, but in a different way, in a dharmic way. But by doing that way, if you're doing it in a dharmic way, then your propensity to eat also will slowly come down. So now both karma and vikarma are the causes of bondage. जैसे हम पुण्य कर्म करते हैं या पाप कर्म करते हैं, everything leads to the bondage. जैसे मैंने पहले ही बताया, if you're doing punya karma, you may get birth in a very rich family, or you may be born in the heavenly planet. But if you're doing the papa karma, then what happens is you may be born in a family which is very poor, or sometimes you are born blind, sometimes you are disfigured, you are born handicapped or like that, because of the karma that you have received. So this is a sloka I said, Shine Punye Matya Loke Vishanti. So when they have thus enjoyed the vast heavenly pleasure and the result of their pious activity are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principle of three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. They say, Krishna also said, Vishaya Veda, Nistrai Gunyo Visharjuna. He's telling Arjuna, oh Arjuna, please transcend the Vedas, because 99% of the Vedas are only allowing us to do the Punya Karma to fulfill our desires in a dharmic way. But again, they give us repeated birth and death. And as such, we are born because of our desires. And we are again performing many things that can increase our desires and gives us another body. So exactly when one performs sinful activity, one may be punished by being sent to the hellish planet for certain duration of the life. So like if somebody is doing punya karma, even they are not going to enjoy throughout. Their enjoyment is fixed only for particular tenure. जैसे अंबानीज में भी हम देख सकते हैं, जैसे मुकेश अंबानी और अनिल अंबानी, they both were given same amount of wealth. They partitioned among themselves like some 20 years back. Now Mukesh Ambani is still in the top notch and Anil Ambani has become bankrupt. So even though they are born in a same family, even though they were given the same amount of wealth to be shared, but his karma or whatever it is, it got exhausted so soon that you can see that he got bankrupt even in the very lifetime. So by enduring this punishment, so agar paap bhi karte hai, it is not that one is going to be put into the hell forever. Jaise kuch other dharam mein bolte hai ki you either go to the hell forever or either you go to the heaven forever. So how can the God be so this thing that either he will be giving you another chance, right? So a prisoner is put into the prison, he serves a particular term and then he is released according to his punishment. He is not kept in the prison forever. So similarly, agar hum paap bhi karte hai, jo bhi punishment humko suffer karna hai, we undergo that and then we are released from that punishment. So both happiness and distress are not permanent. So in this way, by enjoying, one exhausts the results of one punya, and by suffering also one exhausts the results of one sin. So next time, if we are undergoing any suffering, so please don't feel bad. Think that jo bhi ye bhi jo ek mere karma jo hai, that is going away. So I have to suffer. I have done a lot of sinful reactions. Maybe I have to suffer more, but because I am doing bhakti, because I became devotee, Krishna is very, very merciful that he has given me only very little. This is a prayer which Brahmaji is doing these prayers to Lord Krishna in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tattenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vikpakam ritvag purvi didatam namaste jiveta yo mukti padase dayabhag. A devotee always thinks, I must have committed a lot of sinful reaction. Maybe I should suffer more. But because of your kindness, because of your mercy, you have reduced it. You have made it less. And like how? If you remind the son of the father, you will certainly inherit the wealth. As long as you are reminding the son or the daughter of the father, won't you inherit the wealth? Isn't it or not?
Yes, Mata.
Yeah. So similarly, by remaining in devotion, by remaining in bhakti, no matter we undergo some reversals in the life, but remain as an eternal servant of Krishna, by remaining as a devotee of Krishna, we inherit, and we are going to the spiritual kingdom for sure. Only a devotee in this mode is eligible to enter the kingdom of the Lord. Just stay as a devotee. Doesn't matter agar aapko kuch acha ho raha hai ya bura ho raha hai, that is all happening as per our karma. As we discussed, nothing is going to last forever. So with that understanding, we can undergo everything in a very perfect mood. Even if we are happy, we should learn to tolerate the happiness also. We should not be so elated when we are happy, or we should not be so distressed when we are sad. So we should learn to regulate our happiness as well as the distress. We should rather learn to tolerate them. Akarma. Akarma literally means inaction, but that does not mean a physical cessation of the action or avoidance of work. Generally, it means inaction, but we cannot be without doing any action. Like even if we boil the water, there are some germs that are dying in the water. So even if you're drinking that water, which means you are subjected to some reactions. So to live, we need to eat something, we need to drink something. So even though it means inaction, but akarma refers here to the spiritual activities. That means that activities performed on behalf or for the pleasure of the Lord. So today, the activity that you're doing, hearing about Krishna, what activity do you think it will come? It will come in karma, or punya karma, or vikarma, of course, no, or akarma, or bhakti karma. So what does it come under? Which category does it come?
Bhakti karma?
Bhakti karma. So this is a karma which is accumulated differently. So this is not the karma for exchange which you will get something benefited. Krishna will give if you like so, but a devotee always prays Krishna with no desires. Anya bilashita shunyam. He doesn't have any desires. Jnana karma dhyanavritam. So he is the devotee praise Krishna without any motive, with zero desires. But if you have desire also, Krishna fulfills. But if you don't have desire also Krishna, because he is the father. So is it important for us when we were young or anything? Is that everything we were asking our parents, please do this, and then only we got it? Were we not getting whatever we want to get? Did our parents not provide us many things that we didn't even ask for?
Yes, yeah, Mataji.
So similarly, so Krishna will provide. We don't want to ask Krishna for that. It's like you are going to the king and the king is saying, ask whatever you want and I will give you. And you're just asking, dear king, please give me 5 rupees. So is it a right way of asking 5 rupees from the king when he is ready to give you anything? So we are like that when we go with the material desires for the Lord. We are just like asking for 5 rupees, because in this material world, everything is temporary. So like Krishna says, Dukhalayam ashashvatam, it's all temporary. So let us not approach God for the material benefits. Rather, we can approach the Lord with the bhakti as a servant of the Lord and try to connect ourselves in relation with him. So in other words, a karma does not bring material reactions. Example of this, like chanting the names of the Lord. So when you're chanting the Maha Mantra, that is also an akarma. Worshipping him and serving him in various ways. When you're going to the temple, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnum, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, if you're hearing about Krishna, if you're chanting about Krishna, if you're remembering Krishna, if you're serving his lotus feet, if you're worshipping him, if you're praying him, if you're acting with him as a friend or as a servant, or giving a complete surrender to him, all these processes all come under the akarma. So how this akarma acts is, it acts in its own way. It gets accumulated little by little, little by little, little by little. And when it gets accumulated good enough, then you directly go to the spiritual planet. You go out of the material world permanently, where there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. So akarma is the one, bhakti karma or akarma is the one which can take us from the entanglement of the material world. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th chapter, it is also said that for a devotee crossing the ocean, so how big is this Bhavasagar? They say the Vaitarani river. If you're crossing this material world, there is a river called Vaitarani. It is very, 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 very big, very, very wide. So only by crossing the Vaitarani, we can go to the Vaikuntha Lok or the spiritual world. And this river is very, very, very vast. So this river, which is very, very, very vast to cross, for the devotee, how does this river becomes? Krishna Brahmaji says it becomes like the footprint of the calf. How big is the footprint of the calf? How big is it?
It's tiny, small.
Very, very tiny. So like that, the devotee can just easily cross this river, the samsara, just like a calf's footprint. So this river of Bhavasagar is made like a footprints of the calf. So we all should try to take this process of bhakti yoga so that we can go back to Krishna easily. Akarma liberates one from the cycle of birth and death and takes one back to the spiritual world. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Yajnatat karma no yatra lokoyam karma bandhanat tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So he says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in the material world. So whatever work we do, it should be offered to Krishna or Vishnu. As we saw in the previous classes, Krishna or Vishnu, they are all the same expansions. So if we are not doing the work as a sacrifice for Krishna, then the same work will cause us as a bondage, karma bandhana. The same karma will become the bondage. So anything that we do, we should do it for the Krishna. Like yat karoshi, yat dashnashi, yat juhoshi dadati, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurusva madarpanam. Krishna says, whatever you're doing, whatever you're eating, whatever you're giving in charity, or whatever you're offering, do it for me. So when we are eating the food that is offered to Krishna, then the food that we eat, that will not have any karmic reaction. Otherwise, as we just discussed, even boiling the water kills some germs. Grinding the floor kills some germs. Sweeping the kitchen kills the germs. So even within the kitchen, there are so many so many killing that is happening. Even if you are a vegetarian, still we are killing so many living entities, even while cooking or while doing. And apart from that, the consciousness of the person who is cooking is also very important. It's like an artist. So whatever is his consciousness, accordingly, his drawing is replicated. So similarly, the food that is cooked is reflecting the consciousness. So if a person is cooking with the consciousness of frustration, then if we are eating that food, we also get frustrated. So that is why many times, if you see, when you're eating outside food, sometimes we feel happy at that time. Then when you come back home, your next day, you don't feel good. Because in the restaurants, most of the time, the food is prepared for the profitable thing. And the people who are working, suppose somebody is working in a scorching summer heat of 105 Fahrenheit, with what consciousness the person will cook? He will think, my life is so ruined, like I have to cook under such condition because I have to take care of my family. It is my bad luck. Won't he think that way? He will certainly think, right? With frustration, he will cook. Do you think he will cook happily for everyone under that much heat? No. So like that, the cook that who is cooking is also very important, because the consciousness of the cook, and it has to be offered to Krishna. So whatever the food that we eat, it has to be offered to Krishna. That's what in the Shastras it is said, that which Prabhupada has also many times he has cited this goes, Sevon Mukohi Jikvaho. So with the tongue, we should start our bhakti. With the tongue, taste the prasadam, and with the tongue, you chant the holy names. So by doing so, we can do that. Can I just take one more topic? I think it's 8:08, just 5 more minutes. Is it okay for all?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay. So now we will see the difference between the punya karma and akarma. That's like punya karma and spiritual activity. People commonly imagine punya or ordinary pious activity to be the spiritual activity. But these two are actually quite different, and it is important to be clear in our mind about this difference. Punya is good material activity pertaining to the material body. So it does not help you to go back to the spiritual world. आप इतना पुण्य करते हैं, so you will probably get birth in the heavenly planets or in the earthly planets in a very high aristocratic family where you can enjoy the benefits of many material enjoyments. So by performing this, one can get promoted to a better material situation within the material world, but one cannot go beyond it, just like in the case of a prisoner who may be transferred to a better jail cell with more facilities, but who is not allowed to leave the jail. Sometimes the prisoner is upgraded. He is given better facility, but not that he is sent out of the jail for his activity that he performed. So akarma or devotional service to the Lord, on the other hand, is being fully spiritual, and it has nothing to do with the material world. So whatever you're doing in the spiritually, it has nothing pertaining to this world. It is only to please the Krishna. It is with our heart connecting to Krishna that how we serve our child. When you serve your child, do you think that I am serving the child so that my child will grow up and my child will serve me? Is this the mood we are serving the child? No, we are serving the child out of our love, out of our affection. So similarly, when we are serving Krishna, We just have to serve Krishna, knowing our relationship with him. He's saying, Aham Bija Pradapita. He is our eternal father. So we just have to serve to please him. Like Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. We should serve his senses. So it is on the platform of the soul. So it is not on the bodily platform, whereas it is in the platform of the soul. So we are feeding the soul by doing the punya akarma. By doing bhakti karma, we are feeding the soul. But by doing punya karma, we are feeding our body, not our soul. So such a devotional activity is not meant for material promotion. Rather, it is meant to the transfer to the spiritual world beyond the cycle of birth and death. So akarma or bhakti karma is beyond both karma and vikarma. So we should try to do any activity. So whatever activity that we do, it should be for us to come out of our material entanglement. Okay. So with this, we are finishing, and we have a very, very small topic on this, but that might take another 15 or 20 minutes. So probably that might be little late for all of us. So maybe in the next class, I will try to take a little bit of that, and we will also take a little bit of questionnaires on karma, because this is one topic. If you see that many people have questions on karma, right? Like people say, why does bad things happen to good people? Like that, have you heard of that? Many people have the things. So do you have any questions on this topic, Matajis? Was it okay? Were you able to understand the three types of karma? Punya karma, papa karma. So papa karma is okay. I think whomsoever we are here, we do not belong to that category. We are not indulging ourselves in sinful reactions. But the thing where we should know is the difference between punya karma and bhakti karma. So we should not think, by feeding the poor, I am feeding Krishna. Maybe you can do that by feeding prasadam. Do you understand? You can do that by feeding prasadam, because when you're giving prasadam to the poor people, because this prasadam is acting on them. So this prasadam is acting as a seed for that particular soul to begin their bhakti, because prasadam is non-different from Krishna. So you're giving Krishna to them in some form. So if you still feel you want to feed them, give them prasadam. Yeah. Like sometimes I carry some prasadam with me. Some beggars, they come, I give them some bananas or some dry fruits. But they don't want to take that. They only want money. But we should be very careful in giving the money to the beggars. Why? Because you are giving them with a goodwill that is helping. What in case with that money, if they are buying some intoxicants, if they are doing some papa karma, if they are eating some non-veg, if they are taking some cigarette or BD or smoking, or if they are taking some alcohol, then we have to suffer for that. Because the money that is given to them is by us. So whatever they are doing with our money, we are also supposed to face the reaction. So that is why we should never give money to the beggars. So please don't give any money. Even I was unaware of that. So once when I went to this yatra in Vrindavan, so that was like some 5-6 years back, I was also quite new to Bhakti. And the Prabhuji said, प्लीज आप पैसा मत दो उनको, पता नहीं है वो क्या करेंगे उस पैसा से. अगर वो गलत काम करेंगे तो वो उसका जो पाप है ना आप पे लगेगा. So they may look very pathetic, very sympathetic. If you carry something with us, carry some prasadam with you, some dry fruits or some bananas or some fruits. So they ask, you give them that. Okay. Or you can just buy some fruits and pray to Krishna and give them if you're not carrying them. So in that way, you're giving them good thing and preventing yourself from the bad things, because these are some unknown things that we do, which we are not aware, because this karma is very, very intricate. Many times we do not know why such things are happening to us. Like Bhagavatam also says, padam padam hi vipadam na tesham. There is a danger in every step. So anything can happen, but by involving ourselves in devotional service, by serving Krishna in his 9 devotional service and by chanting and other things, we can go back to the spiritual world. And that's the only way to go back to spiritual world. Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is the only way to go to the spiritual world. It is not possible to go through any other ways. Because other ways, even Prabhupada, Krishna himself said in the 12th chapter, Klesho dika tarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkha deha vadbir avapyate. For those who are embodied, if they are taking the path of impersonalism, it is very, 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 very difficult because we are embodied, we have body. So for us, the most easiest thing is to connect with the personality of Godhead than connecting ourselves with the energy, right? So that is about this topic on karma. Any questions any one of you have on this?
I have a quick question if it is not late.
Yeah,
Tanjima
please.
ji.
If others are
just-
getting late, Mataji's, if you want to stay, you can stay. But if you're getting late, you can go. I am fine, Mataji. You can ask.
I'll take just
Mataji,
1
I
minute.
can, I
Yeah.
can leave.
If you want to leave, Mataji, you can leave. It's up to
Thank-
you.
Thank you,
Kyunki,
Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So isn't it good to have a combination of Punya karma and Bhakti karma?
No, we don't need any combination because any punya karma that we do, we will have to come back again to enjoy that. Like the combination can be like giving prasadam.
Prasadam, or
Like
else
that.
what is about?
Yeah, like that. Or combination can be, suppose you want to still treat some people. Maybe you can help some devotees.
Okay.
In that way, you still,
I'm taking the example of donating to some
Yeah.
charity organization where it is
Yeah.
for the empowerment of girls. So
mm.
if I take that into consideration, I'm not doing anything related to Bhakti
Krishna.
karma, but still I'm doing something for the girls. Maybe later they can be like educated.
No, that is true. But Mataji, whatever is happening, that is only pertaining to their body. This body is also temporary. We cannot give anything for their soul. How can you liberate the soul?
Yeah, that is not, but
Yeah.
at least if they're educated, they will know more
Yeah,
about.
that is true, Mataji. That is true. But again, it will come under Punya Karma. Because you have done a pious activity, maybe you may come back again and to enjoy that. So that is what I was listening to one of the class of my Guru Maharaj some 3 days back. He was telling that until you're not perfecting yourself in the bhakti, you're doing here and there and here. We are born in a devotee family, and then you are again, you are getting into some material activities like that. Again, you are born in devotee family. Again, you are born. Again, you are born. While your bhakti doesn't perishes, but it keeps going again and again. We cannot enter into the spiritual planet. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj told, finish off this business in one lifetime. Don't take it further. So once you are doing the bhakti, do everything for bhakti. Mataji, instead what you can do something for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. You can distribute prasadam, because this prasadam will act on the soul, so that in some day that particular soul will become a devotee, and because he will go back home, and you have been instrument for that soul to go back home, back to Godhead. If you are doing some Shastra Dan, somebody read the Bhagavad Gita, because you have given that, and that particular person reading Bhagavad Gita has become a devotee, and he has gone back home, back to Godhead. So again, Krishna knows that you have been an instrument for that person. Had you not donated this Bhagavad Gita to that particular person, maybe he might have not read it. He might not go back to the spiritual world. Yeah, I understand. We have some soft corner. We feel we have to empower the thing. Again, Mataji, we are taking the role of Krishna. We are thinking, we are the lords. We have the ability to control others. We are doing something to the world. So it again comes in a little bit of the form of the ahankar. Not exactly, but a tinge of it.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, like, whatever little, obviously it could be not even a drop, but whatever little that we all do as part of donation, some charity work, because sometimes you need some kind of financial, what's it called, backing also
Yeah.
to lift
Yeah,
that organization up.
Yes, Mataji, I understand. So generally, what you can do such conditions, suppose you have a maid working, she may not be a devotee, and let's say her husband is hospitalized and she needs something. So at that condition, even though that may not be a devotional thing, but you can help because she is indirectly working to you like that. But generally speaking, Mataji, we are supposed to do bhakti karma the most. Try to do as much as the bhakti karma possible. So probably what you can do is when you're donating to those girls something, why don't you also donate a Bhagavad Gita or a small book of Krishna book to them?
So along with
Or
that,
why don't you give them a prashadam also?
I mean, that's what together.
Together, yeah. So
Okay.
try to bring Krishna in the picture.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
because your major goal for that is for that soul. You're still worried about the soul. I'm sure you're not worried about their current temporary condition. It is because of our own karma. If somebody is an orphanage because of their own karma, it is not by chance. But we want to, because aham bija pradapita, they are also the part and parcel of Krishna. They are also like a family because Vasudeva Kudumpam. So we need to help them. But let our help be elevating their soul, not just mitigating their temporary material condition. While it is important also, I'm not saying it's not important, but let it have some amount of Krishna in that. Maybe prashadam along with whatever you're giving. You're organized, tell them, I have got some pedas, prashadam, please give them this one, like that. Or one day prashadam meal, like that. Or some small book of Krishna, at least on the way to Krishna. Or Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure. Just give them at least one book like that. Do it. Don't do anything where we cannot involve Krishna in that. That's what Krishna says. Yat karoshi, yat dashnashi, yat juhoti, tadati, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurusva